Yeah, thank you so much. I'm just around here. This is thicker green, so I may not see the whole of it, but I love coming here, going green. Yes, and I just want to explain to some of you who asked me about Susan Gitao Counseling Foundation and how did we end up starting the foundation. I have always talked about my story. If you Google my name, Dr. Susan Guitar, you'll find I have a history of having a parent who battled mental illness. And I realized my father suffered a lot more on trauma, childhood trauma, which brought out many other issues in his life, issues in his marriage, issues in his work life, issues in his own personal life. And the worst that can happen to any human being is to have a conflict within yourself, because that can contribute very fast to mental illness. And so my daddy got treated for all the mental illnesses you can think of. I think at some point he took drugs on schizophrenia, at some point he took drugs on depression. And finally, I'm not so sure to that because I didn't view his body. I refused because he died the night I graduated from University of Nairobi, December 9th of 1996. I did not want to view my dad's body, and now I know better because that is what I used to treat people. That is trauma therapy. Because I had very serious shock, very serious numbing. That is what we call denial. I never wanted to see my father in any state. And because I got traumatized at the city mortuary, I decided for my master's work, I'm going to look at what happens behind the closed door of morgues. And if you go to Daystar University, you'll find I did my work with morgue workers, assessing the effects of stress in the workplace and, of course, trauma in it. And so, Susan Gitao Counseling Foundation is one that we thought as a family. We need not forget my dad. And for me, as Susan, I would want that the legacy that I have started in mental health, especially supporting the less vulnerable or the forgotten lot in the community. You will find I have done a lot of work with the security officers in the country. I've done a lot of work with vulnerable children, especially around Thika, or even when I have worked with the caregivers of vulnerable communities and vulnerable children in Dadaab. We go to Kakuma, and sometimes because Rwanda is so much at heart, I have done a lot of charity work also in Rwanda. Why Susan Gitao Counseling Foundation? Note the keyword there is Counseling Foundation. It wasn't easy to register this foundation because most people who run foundations have political ambitions. I've never had any political ambition, but I do not say that I cannot work for the government if there is a position for me to work in the government, support the government to give the best to the society and to the community, and have the capacity, I have the skills any day, and especially on mental health, I'll be there. But I've never had any political ambitions. If I had, maybe by now I would be a senator somewhere, a member of parliament somewhere, or even a governor somewhere. Anyway, I realized that most mental health issues begin from childhood. And so, if there is a lot of work that can be done that is preventive, then we do not have to cure, we do not have to treat mental illness. And what can best give that? In the primary health care service provision, you realize that counseling is at the bottom of the pyramid because it's more preventive and supportive. Preventive in this sense, if I'm struggling with some issues as a child, as an adult, and I am supported, I do not have to find myself battling mental illness and battling issues that have really put me down or finally landed me into the hands of a mental health asylum, or in short, a mental health hospital, like where my dad was for over 23 years, Mathari Mental Hospital. Now we call Mathari Teaching and Referral Hospital in Nairobi. And so, counseling is very expensive. Go to any counselor and you realize that maybe a minimum that you can pay for a session could be actually $20. And how many Kenyans, how many vulnerable people can afford that amount of money? And so I thought, with volunteers around me, with me in there, can I start offering free counseling services? And this was engineered and supported by the work I did for integrated displaced persons, beginning with the displaced persons, 2007, 2008. And it was very sad to see one person that was our senior security officer sleep in Thika Stadium. And that is the person we used to go for help. It really hit me. And I asked myself, where is all this fight coming from? And I realized these fights do not come from the blues. They come from our minds. What I think about you, what I think about myself, negative thoughts. And I realized that most people will go into a fight, most people will have unresolved conflicts because they cannot resolve their own personal issues. And these personal issues, by the time they come into fights, they have really been boiled up inside themselves to an extent. Someone is very angry, someone is very bitter, they are in rage, and rage can kill. That is what we call anger and anger management. And for sure, anything people call resentment, bitterness, and all that is nothing else but anger. But if you come to my workspace, I'll tell you anger is stress. And extreme stress for that matter, severe stress for that matter, that harms you, your body, everything about your body, everything about your social life, everything about your emotional life, everything about your spiritual life. So what is left if all the aspects and spheres of your life are actually damaged? Nothing. It's emptiness. And an empty person is ready to die. They have nothing to give, not to themselves, not to anyone. And so if counseling can be provided for free, then we can prevent many people from developing mental illness. We can also save families, the government, communities a lot of money that is used in mental health care and treatment. So thank you for those of you that have been supporting capacity building here and there. Thank you for those of you that have been great volunteers. I can't name enough of you, but you've been there, and especially right now when we are running the Moyo wa Huruma project season 2 for vulnerable children in Kendutu. We started last year when the long holidays started. We are doing it again, and special thanks to Action for Children in Conflict, special thanks to Africana College of Professionals, special thanks to Watoto Wetu Network, a network of professionals, stakeholders in the child welfare or safeguarding. Thank you for Madam Lina of Children's Office. Thank you for Madam Kagweria of Gender Desk at the Police Station. And thank you also for our DCC right now, because you are very supportive in so many ways. And we want to make a difference in the lives of the vulnerable people. And I hope we can have a concerted, a strategic design of mental health intervention. We begin small, like I started with where I work, my family, and then to the community where I grew up, and extending outward. And so if more of us are together, and if there is a budget that can be set aside in every county, every sub-county, to enhance mental health and wellness, then we can be somewhere. Thank you so much. Thank you so much even for your votes. Being nominated among the best 5 in humanitarian service in the country among NGOs wasn't easy if it wasn't for your vote, if it wasn't for your watchdog activities. Asante sana, Dr. Susan Gitao. Google more of our work and support where you can. Go to our website, Susan Gitao Counseling Foundation, www.sgcfoundation.org. God bless you.